this nowadays. I don't know if in Islam, what is it that you do when it comes to the allegations, whereby when we go to our law, South African law, someone is not guilty until they proven guilty. So I want to know in Islamic perspective, what does Quran says about people who are doing adultery or anything that is against the religion or the faith of Islamic? What is it that Quran says about how do you deal with them? How do you treat them? Does this maybe take away the dignity of Islamic faith?
Thank you very much. A very good afternoon to you and all our listeners. It's good to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Islam deals with various different or various kinds of sins or transgressions, transgressing the boundaries of the Almighty God. And they are stipulated penalties for various transgressions. So if a person is guilty of any sin, they are going to be dealt with according to the Sharia of Islam, irrespective of who they are. They may be the leader of a community, they may be an imam, they may be a teacher, they may be an ordinary person. When they have done something that is wrong, the law of retribution will be met against them. That is the teaching of Islam. In fact, the Quran tells us to desist and stay away from the practice of the people of the past. They used to look at who has done the sin, and then the punishment will be met against that person if that person was just an ordinary person or a lowly person. But when a highly ranking person does a sin, then they will be protective over that person and the punishment will not be met against that person. So Islam taught us to be just. And in fact, it tells us that i'dilu huwa aqrabu littaqwa. Be just, and that is more closer to piety, which is God consciousness. You cannot be God conscious and God fearing until you are a person who is just. And there is again another verse wherein the Almighty God tells us, we are taught, Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan wa ita'i dhil qurba. This verse, it has got 3 commands of the Almighty God. And it says that indeed the Almighty God commands you to be just or with justice. Justice is very important and fundamental. So whenever we approach any sin or any transgression, we must not be influenced by who has done it, but we must look at what was done. After having said that, the Quran also cautions us that إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. When a person, a transgressor, comes to you with some news and information or allegations claiming that so and so has done that, don't just rush to take some action or to condemn. Fatabayyanu, you must investigate, you must find out, you must prove whether that which is being said is true or false. Why? The Quran goes on to tell us that perhaps you will hurt or you will harm innocent people out of ignorance, because you just rushed to believe someone who just came and laying accusations against someone, and then you believed them and you rushed to go and start condemning that person. Then after a long time you find out that, oh, this person is innocent. That reminds me, I saw on the news a person who was sent into to jail in America in the 80s for murder. He was sentenced life in prison. He was only found a few years ago that he was innocent. So he languished in prison for all these years. Just look at how many years were taken away from him, and yet he was innocent. So the Quran cautions us that we must not just rush to condemn. We must find out and we must investigate. When the person is indeed guilty of what is being charged against them, then the punishment must be met against them. That stipulated punishment.
And who must condemn?
Every believer, every sane person must condemn them. When we look at at something that is wrong that is being done, it is something that everyone should not condone. Any bad thing, any sin must not be condoned by anyone. It must be condemned from the ordinary people. But those that are charged with authority, they must exercise their authority. When a person has to be arrested, then he has to be arrested. When a person has to be sentenced, then the person has to be sentenced. Today you look at people who are going scot-free. They are not being charged for the sins and acts of criminality that they are committing just because of the position that they occupy in society. They have murdered, they have committed adultery, they have committed corruption, they have done all sorts of heinous crimes against the Almighty God. But the law of the lands are not taking their cause. Why? Because of the position that they occupy in society. That is bad. That must be condemned.
So if there are alleged allegation against an imam or anyone who is the leader or teacher, do you let the person continue to teach whereas they are in allegations, or there is something that Islamic faith do to that person?
Allegations are of various nature. There are some allegations which are just stories that you hear from the corridors. And they probably may be stories that are made by people who hate, like today. One of the main weapons that is being used by people in order to tarnish the image of either a faith or an organization or a company is just smear campaign, whereby some rumors are deliberately being spread against someone so that people start shunning that person, or people start shunning that organization or that individual. We don't act on allegations. We act on proven facts. So if you come and tell me that my pastor is like this, that's between you and your pastors and whoever you have heard from. If you have real issues, you must bring your witness. The Quran tells us, قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Wherever you make an assertion, whenever you make a claim, bring your evidence if you are truthful. But if you fail to bring evidence to what you are saying, then you might as well go and tell your story to the mountains, because we are not going to entertain you. We have heard now, especially when we have got so many enemies against the faith and the church, you will find religious leaders being accused of things that sometimes even the religious leaders who are being accused of those things, if you meet them, you talk to them face to face, they will tell you that even the place that I am accused of having gone and done this, I have never been to that place. But the media is utilized to do that. So we don't act on accusations. We act based on facts that have been proven. So if people come and start accusing our imam, we tell them, go and report your case to the police. If the police, they come and arrest him and he is taken to the court and he is found guilty, then we know that he is guilty. Then the law of the land will take its course and we will find a replacement for him. That's simple and straightforward. But we are also not going to be recruited to defend somebody who is guilty of something. When it has been proven that indeed the man of God is guilty, then he must own up to his mistake, face the music, and pay for what he has done.
Thank you.